welcome to yet another episode of We Belong Presents Career Australia Season 2, where we talk to industry experts and professionals from various fields, because here we are on a mission to decode and understand the current happenings with regards to opportunities for job seekers and students alike. On today's episode, I am super excited to be talking to someone who has been in the industry for more than 16 years. Now, you know, I'm going to be talking to an expert. She is none other than Gunjan Mullick from Aussizz Group, one of the most trusted educational and migration consultants in the country. Thank you so much, Gunjan, for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks, Sapna, for having me in your show.
I always say time is so valuable. Thank you for giving me your time.
Thank you. My pleasure. And I'm glad to be here and talking about the visas, the employer-sponsored visa specifically,
Totally.
and share my knowledge so I can be of help and some contribution to the students who are looking for advice.
Some contribution, major contribution. Thank you again. Gunjan, you have migrated to Australia in 2006, if I'm not wrong? Yes, my research was right, guys. So you've been here for more than 16 years, and you came in as
a migrant, state nomination visa.
Yeah.
So I've done my studies back in Delhi in India.
Beautiful.
So I'm myself a migrant here. I've been through that process of skill assessment, state nomination, the PR pathways and citizenship. So it's been a journey for myself.
Yeah. Beautiful. Now tell me, how was that journey in short? Because I'm sure you would have had your struggle, you would have had a journey that had a lot of ups and downs. Tell me, how was that looking like for you?
Well, challenging, and especially when you're coming to a country where it's new, everything is new, the culture, the language. Obviously, we are not from English-speaking countries back. So, but Australia is obviously a very welcoming country, and it's a multicultural. You can always go to different communities, interact with them. So I think it was challenging because when you come here, your main focus, everybody comes here for the focus of permanent residency. No, people come here for tourism, and then they fall in love with the country, the places, and they look for different pathways, student visas, like other partner visas. There's so many options available for people depending on their qualification and work experience.
Right.
So I think we all who come here have something to share in our journey, and same, my journey was very challenging. I've done a couple of odd jobs as well, like all students and migrants do, and everything was a learning, I think.
Definitely.
It has been challenging, no doubt.
And I kind of feel like when people take odd jobs, they learn a new skill, and every skill adds to the person that you grow up to be, right? Lovely that you shared with me your journey in short. But today we are talking about employer-sponsored visa. On our show, we have spoken to experts on topics like temporary residence visa, graduate visa 485, pathways to permanent residency, and a lot of errors that people tend to make. But today our episode is based on employer-sponsored visa, which is kind of a hot spot for people wanting to migrate to Australia. So now I have absolutely no clue. I come from a background that is a lot of media and entertainment and all of that. So visa is something that I'm still learning, and there are so many out there who want to know more about employer-sponsored visa, just like me. So tell me, what is this employer-sponsored visa?
So as the name itself suggests, the employer-sponsored, you are sponsored by an employer.
Wow.
It could be for temporary visa or permanent visa. So employer-sponsored visas are categorized into 3 different categories as well.
Right.
So depending on the client's eligibility.
Yeah.
So as the name itself suggests, the employer-sponsored visa, you have to be sponsored by an employer. Whether it's any industry, whether it's hospitality, restaurants, IT industries, engineering, manufacturing industries. So it's like an employer-sponsored visa.
Right.
I will explain a bit about the employer-sponsored visas to the audience as well.
Please do.
Yes. So the first visa that usually people go for is the 482, which is the skill nominated visa. So the skill nominated visa is basically the employer is picking a migrant who is skilled enough to be sponsored into their company.
Oh, beautiful.
That's right. So the reason, one of the main reasons, I'll be talking in a very common language. I will not go into too much technical, because otherwise then people get confused as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when an employer cannot find a local Australian resident or citizen in the market, let's say, I'll take examples so it's easier for people to understand. For example, if there is a system analyst or a business analyst and a person is already working in the company for 6 months and has got 2-3 years of experience. So there are particular skills that person has, Mr. A has, that he cannot find in the local labor market, and that's where he thinks, okay, I want to sponsor this person and I want him to work in my company for the next 2-3 years.
Will they take a TV presenter?
Of course they will. So I always encourage people to speak to the employers and say that, okay, are you happy to sponsor me?
Yeah.
Because lot of times the clients say when they come to me for consultations, if I do 10 consultations in a day, 70 to 80%, they're very common questions.
Yeah.
Whether they're from different industry doesn't matter, but they're very common questions that I've got 3-4 years of experience, I'm working with the company as a system analyst, and I'm not sure whether my company will be able to sponsor me.
Yeah.
So that's where I come into picture
Yeah.
and say, look, if you want, I'm happy to speak to the employer as well,
Beautiful.
because he or she will have a lot of questions, which obviously the applicant, I don't expect the applicant to know
Be able
anything.
to answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the employer comes into picture, I explain to the applicant or do a conference call and say that, okay, for example, the training visa, which the word itself says training.
Right.
So that means it's opposite, let's say in common language, it's opposite to the skilled nominated visa. So training visa, you are hiring someone and sponsoring someone to train.
Right.
And the 482 skill nominated visa, the skilled temporary skill shortage visa, the employer is nominating and hiring a skilled person.
Right.
So for training visa, you need only 12 months of experience in the last 24 months.
For training visa.
Training visa,
12 months of experience.
12 months of experience. That experience can be in the form of study as well.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, so if you're a recent graduate, you
Yeah.
completed your studies, those 12 months duration in the last 24 months, then the company can sponsor you to train you.
Training visa.
Right. And then it comes the skill, the 482 skill shortage visa. You need minimum 2 years of experience,
Oh, okay.
full time.
Yeah.
And then for them to sponsor you for the 482. 482 can be they can sponsor you for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Depending on the skilled occupation list, that which occupation falls under which stream.
Oh, okay.
So the department has divided the skilled occupation list into short term, medium term, regional.
Right.
So they've divided into different streams.
Okay. Okay.
So another common question I get from clients is that I don't understand that my occupation, why this falls under medium term.
Yeah.
And so it's just a terminology. People think, oh, my occupation is a medium term, so I'll just get my permanent residency. And if it's in a short term or ROL list, I think I'm not going to get my permanent residency. Yeah, so that's not true.
Okay.
The only difference is that if your occupation is in a short term list, you have to be sponsored by the state.
Okay.
And you cannot apply for 189, which is the independent visa, which is the skilled visa, which I'm not going to be touch basing on a lot. The main focus is the employer sponsored. So the 407 training visa is for training.
Okay, so training visa is 407.
Yes.
Just like temporary residence visa is 485.
Yes.
Training visa is 407.
Right. All the 407 and 482, again, it goes into the sponsorship nomination and visa. So whether that says employer sponsored visa, so the employer should be approved as a sponsor.
Okay.
So that's the first step, basically.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So 407, 482,
and there's a third category, which is 186.
which is
186.
employer sponsored.
Which are
visa.
employer sponsored. And I'm going to be only talking about employer sponsored over here from now on.
Great. Now that you've given us the background of how to go about the 482, it looks absolutely clear. Now that you've told me the first step, what are the steps to follow in order to get to 482?
Okay, you need to have an employer first of all.
Okay.
Check the eligibility. So let's say you have an employer to sponsor you as a system analyst. I know you're from media, TV, but there are occupations in your occupation as well.
Hopefully, my toes and fingers are crossed.
You'll be fine. Yes, so let's say you're a system analyst and you have an employer. The first step is to check the eligibility. So a lot of people say that my company just opened the business just 2 months ago, can they sponsor me? I'm like, yes or no, both, but there would be some challenges in between, some risks involved. Just an example, some company has been established for the last 10-15 years.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the eligibility process. Has the company been going into loss? How long they have been operating? How many branches the company has? How many entities? So there are a lot of questions involved. So first step is to check the eligibility of the
Okay, check the eligibility of the person who is sponsoring your employer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So employer's eligibility comes into picture. And then the second step after that is the nomination. So the nomination in general, what it means is that how you fit into the company structure.
Right.
So let's say I go back to the same example of a system analyst. There's a small company of 15 employees.
Yeah.
There are already 5 system analysts or business analysts working in the company. So the question arises that why your company needs another
Right.
system analyst, right? Why this company? Another example is at the bakery shop. Like yesterday I had a consultation for a baker, and there were 4 bakers already working in the company.
Yeah.
And that person had a nomination refusal from somewhere else, from
okay.
outside.
Yeah.
So if I look at the organization chart, I wouldn't have probably put that nomination through straight away by looking at it and saying that you already have 4 baker in the company. Why do you need a 5th
want
one?
another one?
It could be business expansion, you're opening branches, or the owner is not there and somebody has resigned. So
Yeah.
it could be a lot of things. So nomination is a very critical stage of there's money involved of the employer, and there's a lot
Which we'll get into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and which is non-refundable. So as well at the same time. So it's very important to put in the right application.
Right.
So the first step, I would tell everyone to check the eligibility and consult someone experienced who has been through that process, who has done that process of the employer sponsored, because they know the challenges and what they would have faced in the
Right.
refusals in the past.
Right.
So it looks pretty straightforward when you go to the website and read about it, but it's not that straightforward. People
Now-
do miss few things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question. What are the common mistakes or errors that these applicants tend to make when applying for something so specific and significant like employer-sponsored visa?
I'll get on to the nomination part,
Yeah.
which is the second step.
Right.
Sponsorship mistake, 1 or 2 mistakes people can do is that when they submit their profit and loss statement, the business activity statements, to check the financial eligibility,
Right.
because the company needs to be approved as a sponsor.
Right.
The first thing is they may just not check the company has been going into loss. And then the question arises that if the company has been going into loss, how are they going to pay the employee
very valid.
in the next 1 or 2 years?
Right.
Second, if the business is virtually operating, there's no actual office or it's a home office, that could be
Another
another reason. So second step, nomination, I'll get into it in a bit of a detail because that's where a lot of mistakes happen. If
Sure.
the nomination gets refused, then visa would get refused.
Sure. I was a little worried if I asked the next question earlier, but I'm glad you're actually connecting it and making sense of this.
It's all step-by-step process because like I said, when I do consultations, everyone has a different situation.
Totally.
So let's take an example of the same baker, let's say, because all the trade occupations like chef, cook, bakers, pastry chef, welders, motor mechanics, when you are dealing with a business which deals in trade, it's very different to when you're dealing with the business for the nomination in IT occupations or engineering or manufacturing industries.
Yeah.
So let's say an occupation of a baker. So in the nomination process, there's one more thing which is called the labor market testing.
Okay.
So as the 482, I suggested that it is to hire someone who is skilled,
Yeah.
and not to jeopardize Australian residents and citizens. So
Right.
because basically they don't want migrants to take jobs of residents and citizens
Right,
here.
right, makes
And obviously
sense.
they openly say that because it's
No,
their own
definitely,
country.
it makes sense.
Yeah. So the labor market testing is designed by the Department of Home Affairs to check that the employer has done enough research and they try to find someone local in the market
Right.
first.
Right.
So they
right.
can put the job advertisement through Seek,
Ooh.
Job Outlook, Indeed.
Yeah.
So you have tried to find someone in the local labor market.
Yeah, tried enough in order to
Exactly.
let
Tried
yourself know.
Yes,
that
that's the right
you're
word.
probably not finding the right
Yes,
person.
so tried enough. That's where people go wrong. They think, okay, let's put a job advertisement
Yeah.
for the purpose of nominating this person and try not to recruit someone, but that's wrong. The case officers are very smart, so I know how they think because I've been in the industry for so long.
Yeah.
So I'll probably know if I'm a case officer, if I'm working on a case, I think from the point of view of a case officer. to
Definitely.
the department.
Great.
So if you cannot convince me,
Yeah.
then I cannot convince
Definitely
the person
not.
who's sitting on the assess the application.
Totally.
So one mistake, like if I had labor market testing, so it has to run for 28 days first of all.
Okay.
So the day one.
So sorry to cut you there. I just have a doubt. So labor market testing is basically you are putting the advertisement out, you are doing the research for finding the right person, and you are coming to a conclusion that you are not finding the right person. Now here you refers to the employer who wants to sponsor.
Right. Perfect, you got it right. So that's where people sometimes go wrong. That has to be done very accurately,
Okay.
because your application can be assessed or refused on that basis.
Sure.
Job Outlook, they introduced that it is a mandatory site,
Okay.
government site, that the employer needs to advertise in 28 days duration.
Okay.
So the first day and then the 28th day, you need to have enough period. And then you need to also supply to the department with the application that who applied and why you didn't select those employees.
Right.
It could be a lot of reasons. It's not that hard not to select someone, honestly, because someone, you are looking for specific skills.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't want to relocate. People have applied, they don't want to relocate. Someone is looking for only part-time job, casual job. They
Yeah.
can't give a full-time commitment. There could be a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because there haven't been so many migrants in the last 2-3 years because of COVID,
Yeah.
there are not enough migrants. So that's the reason why I'm talking about employer sponsored.
Yeah.
Is if you're already working in an organization,
Right.
you make use of that opportunity. Because the employer is helping you, but you are also, as an applicant, giving something to the employer,
Definitely,
a commitment
definitely.
for the next 2-3 years.
Definitely.
So that's one of the common mistakes people do, and
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a very broad category.
Yeah, yeah.
But these are the main things.
So the first one is the thing that you need to check your eligibility. You need to see if your employer is ready and is able or has the potential to actually sponsor you. And the third one is, of course, the nomination process, right? Now that we've spoken about errors, we know that people coming to Australia from a different country, especially from developing countries, where most of us are from, money is definitely a matter of concern. Gunjan, please help me through what is the basic cost in order to apply, and what is like the whole structure for finances looking like when it comes to employer
When it
sponsored
comes
visa?
to the training visa, it is less cost as compared to the 482 and 186s. Training visa, there's not much cost involved. There is a training plan involved.
Yeah.
The 3-step, again, sponsorship nomination visa.
Yeah.
The costs are involved. So a couple of $100, $310 for the nomination sponsorship, and then visa it's like $420 around dollars. So the total will be $1,000 or something.
So the total amount involved for employer sponsored visa
407
for
training
all the
visa.
three, only for
Only training visa. I'm
only
talking
training
about.
visa. Oh, only training visa,
Yeah, no,
$1,000.
it's not that less for
and then
other
the
visas,
second step is 482.
482. So you pay for the nomination and then you pay for the visa, sponsorship nomination visa.
Okay.
One thing I would like to make it clear is that the employer is responsible for the sponsorship and nomination cost. The applicant does not pay, it's not allowed. Basically, why the reason is that the employer is the employer's application to the department.
Right.
That I want to be approved. So it shouldn't be a money, the applicant shouldn't be paying money to the sponsor.
Please make a note of this. But do employers actually ask applicants to do it? Are there cases where
And people
that has
come to
happened?
me and they have said, but it's not allowed.
Yeah.
It's not worth taking that risk.
Right.
And even if they are, I'm like, don't tell me, because
Yeah.
I'm not taking up that application. If that's
Definitely
the case. But yes, people are not aware of it. Once you make them aware,
Yeah.
and honestly, Sapna, a lot of companies have a budget to sponsor.
Yeah, totally.
And 99% of the companies that I have, I'm working on, the
Yeah.
engineering firms, IT firms, they have a budget and they're happily
Beautiful.
sponsoring, and they even pay the agent cost as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So they also need to pay the SAF levy.
Okay.
SAF levy cost.
Okay.
For 482 and 186, $3,000 and $5,000 depending on which visa it is, but it can go up to $5,000.
Okay.
So not to confuse,
Yeah.
very straightforward is that the company pays for the nomination and sponsorship cost.
Okay.
And
don't worry about it, applicants. Your employer will pay for it. Don't worry.
they are obligated to pay because
Yeah.
they are contributing for a development of
Yeah.
a migrant.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Totally. So just in order to put everything together, $1,000 for the first one,
Training
that is
visa.
training visa, and then we have the
482.
482.
It could be between 3,000 to 5,000.
3 to 5,000, and then finally
The 186,
186?
it can cost usually the same because
Same,
there is
3 to
also
5.
the SAF levy involved in the
Great, lovely. Now that you've given us like the basic financial structure for applying employer-sponsored visa, Gunjan, tell me, how can a educational consultant or a migration consultant help these applicants in order to avoid these errors? Because I'm sure, just like you said, even though people go and read the website, there are a lot of mistakes that they tend to commit. And I have spoken to like experts in the previous episodes, and they've always mentioned that one mistake can actually cost the applicant a lot in order to get back them on track when it comes to visas. Do you agree to it?
Absolutely, yeah. Because when you put an application to the department,
Yes.
they are not obligated to request information. Usually when you lodge an application for 485, and in the department request for the documents. In employer nomination visa, the employer sponsored visa, the case officer can take a decision directly. So if they are not convinced that how do you think the position fits into the company structure, if you have not provided enough documents,
Totally.
the case officer can directly take a decision straight away. They cannot ask, okay, look, I'm not convinced, can you please provide more documents? It may happen, it may not happen. So what we try to do
And
is,
it's, sorry again
That's
to
all
cut
right.
you, I'll forget otherwise. So does it also depend upon the case officer who's actually checking, or who's actually going through your application?
it depends on the case officer whether they are convinced the applicant is genuine enough to
Right.
fit into the company structure.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, if it's a Friday and the case officer is pretty relaxed, then he may be in a good mood and then he can just approve. That doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work like that. You need to actually go through it the right way, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that with the what was your
No, the question was again, how can these educational and migration
yes.
consultants help with them?
Exactly. So we at Aussizz Group, we are a team of more than 35 to 40 migration agents, and we are sitting in different states as well. We have a lot of branches.
Yes.
So
Perth, Adelaide,
Canberra, we have recently
Canberra.
opened a new branch. South Australia,
beautiful.
Queensland, yeah.
Just spread across the entire country. Please get in touch with them. Aussizz Group is the place you have to go to.
The reason is because I think our founder and director, Mr. Dharmendra Kumar Patel, amazing person to work with. I think obviously his idea is so that we are approachable
Yeah.
to people. If I'm living in South Australia or if I'm living in Victoria, I would be aware, it's all about being aware and talking about experience. So I am able to talk and advise based on my experience.
Right.
Even like all registered migration agents are providing the same service, but what comes with experience is that I can tell with my experience what has been the pattern
Yeah.
of the department.
Yeah.
The rules are okay, the July, the state nomination is opening up in Victoria,
Yeah.
everybody knows.
Totally.
But obviously someone who's experienced, we can tell by experience that
Yeah.
what has been the pattern of South Australia, what has been the pattern of Victoria, Western Australia in the last couple of years. And that's what clients wants to hear.
And you can actually guide them the right way. Perfect.
So every student who comes to me, I'm glad that they have done their own research.
Beautiful.
And they say, okay, I've already looked, Western Australia is offering state nomination if I have an employment. I said, that's great. You have to, because it's easier for us to explain and communicate. So where we come into picture is that it's about explaining to the client that he or she should be clear what is the eligibility.
Yeah.
If I'm asking for a document, why I'm asking for a document.
Yes.
Sometimes I have clients coming in saying my employer is happy to sponsor me, they'll just sign wherever you want. I said, okay, that's great, but no, I have to speak to the employer, because for sponsorship and nomination, I'm representing him.
Yeah.
So what services we provide is, one is obviously we believe in quality service. teamwork. We work as a team, and I think that's what is made us specialize, because we do trainings, we teach
live
sessions. So to tell people about the eligibility there, so that's
Beautiful.
where we come into picture.
Definitely. Beautiful. Now that you've spoken so much about employer-sponsored visa, I'm sure there are so many people, wanting to know more about it, and wanting to actually find an employer, find a job that can actually bring them to Australia. Now, people who want to do it, please get in touch with Aussizz Group, the beautiful lady out here with so many years of experience in the industry, guiding you the right way. Please get in touch with them. And yeah, thank you so much again for the time that you spent in order to actually explain us from the cost to the steps to absolutely everything. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, and I would obviously encourage people to get in touch with us and discuss your pathways, discuss your eligibility criteria, and especially even if you have completed your studies recently, even if you have just landed yesterday, it's good to plan ahead.
Yeah.
I am very happy when clients come to me and say, I've recently completed my studies, I've lodged my 485 visa, I'm on a bridging visa A, and now I want to discuss my pathways.
Totally.
That's an excellent situation, because I know now what to do, what to plan for the client. And when they come back to me for their residencies and citizenship,
You actually know their entire journey.
Their journey.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I think Aussizz Group specializes. Like I said, we believe in teamwork.
Yeah.
We believe in quality service, integrity. It's very important. That's what we have been following for so many years. Like Aussizz is there for last 50.
You're the best of the best, and that's the reason you are sitting here and guiding so many out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Gunjan. And all the very best with whatever you have ahead, and hope to see you soon again
you. I'll
on
be back with
another
another
episode
topic.
very soon. So that was employer-sponsored visa, and there is Gunjan Mullick right here, right at Aussizz Group to help you. I will catch up with another episode, with another guest, with another topic next week. You take care. Until then, this is Sapna signing off. Adios, amigos.